In the quiet town of Pine Hollow, nestled deep within the forests of Oregon, life moved at a leisurely pace. The townsfolk were familiar faces, and secrets were scarce, or so it seemed. But in the summer of 2017, a series of unexplained events would shatter the town's tranquility, leaving behind a legacy of fear that still lingers in the whispers of the wind. When the Thompson family, Mark, Sarah, and their teenage daughter Emily, moved into the old Whitmore house on the outskirts of Pine Hollow, they were seeking a fresh start. The house, a Victorian-era structure with creaking floors and ivy-covered walls, had been vacant for years. Locals often spoke of its eerie presence, but the Thompsons dismissed the tales as mere folklore. From the moment they arrived, Emily felt an unsettling presence. Shadows seemed to move just beyond her line of sight, and the air inside the house was perpetually cold, regardless of the weather outside. Sarah attributed it to the house's age, while Mark focused on renovations, eager to restore the home to its former glory. It began subtly. Doors would open and close on their own, objects would disappear and reappear in odd places, and the family would hear faint whispers at night. Emily's dreams became increasingly vivid, filled with images of a woman in a tattered dress, standing at the foot of her bed, mouthing words she couldn't hear. One evening, while unpacking boxes in the attic, Mark discovered an old journal belonging to Margaret Whitmore, the house's original owner. The entries detailed her descent into madness, claiming that the shadows were watching her, whispering secrets, and urging her to commit unspeakable acts. Concerned, Sarah visited the local library to learn more about the Whitmore family. She discovered that Margaret had been accused of witchcraft in the late 1800s after several townspeople disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Though never convicted, she was ostracized, and the Whitmore house had been shunned ever since. Sarah shared her findings with Mark, but he remained skeptical. Emily, however, grew increasingly withdrawn, spending hours in her room and speaking to someone unseen. When questioned, she insisted she was talking to Margaret, who had become her friend. The family's situation deteriorated rapidly. Mark began experiencing violent nightmares, waking up with scratches on his arms. Sarah would find herself in rooms she didn't remember entering, and Emily's behavior became erratic. She spoke an archaic language and often referred to events from the 19th century as if she had lived through them. One night, the family dog Max vanished. They found his collar in the backyard, but there was no sign of him. That same evening, the walls of the house began to bleed a dark, viscous substance, and the whispers grew louder, more insistent. Desperate, Sarah reached out to Father Donovan, the town's priest, who agreed to bless the house. As he began the ritual, the temperature plummeted, and a forceful wind blew through the rooms, extinguishing candles and knocking over furniture. Father Donovan was thrown against a wall, sustaining injuries that required hospitalization. The Thompsons decided to leave the house, seeking refuge in a motel. However, the phenomena followed them. Emily's condition worsened. She would speak in voices not her own and exhibit knowledge of events she couldn't possibly know. A paranormal investigator, Dr. Evelyn Harper, was brought in to assess the situation. After extensive research and observation, she concluded that the house was a nexus for malevolent entities, drawn by the tragic history and the residual energy left behind by Margaret Whitmore's alleged practices. Dr. Harper discovered that Margaret had attempted to open a portal to the spirit world, believing she could communicate with her deceased husband. Instead, she had unleashed something far more sinister. The portal remained open, and the entities had latched onto the Thompsons, particularly Emily, who was more susceptible due to her age and sensitivity. Dr. Harper devised a plan to close the portal, involving a ritual that required the family's participation. As they commenced the ceremony in the Whitmore house, the entities fought back. Shadows coalesced into grotesque forms, attacking the family and Dr. Harper. The house shook violently, and the air was filled with deafening screams. Emily, possessed by one of the entities, turned on her parents, her eyes black and devoid of emotion. Mark and Sarah, with tears streaming down their faces, pleaded with their daughter to fight back. In a moment of clarity, Emily managed to regain control, allowing Dr. Harper to complete the ritual. The house fell silent. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, and the shadows dissipated. The Thompsons, traumatized but alive, decided to leave Pine Hollow for good. Emily underwent therapy and gradually returned to her former self, though she retained no memory of the events. The Whitmore house was condemned and eventually demolished. However, locals claim that on certain nights, whispers can still be heard where the house once stood, and shadows move without a source. The town of Pine Hollow remains quiet, its secrets buried beneath layers of time and silence. The Thompsons' ordeal serves as a chilling reminder that some places harbor darkness beyond comprehension. While the house is gone, the memories linger, and the question remains: did they truly close the portal, or merely delay the inevitable return of the shadows of Pine Hollow?